and he said you would be willing to do an open theism debate with James White at our local congregation in Colorado. It's going to be July 27th. He told me to reach out to you, said you would be willing to.
Well, hello and welcome to Idol Killer, a ministry dedicated to destroying sacred cows for the cause of Christ. I am your host, Warren McGrew, and a while back I saw a message in a Facebook group that I'm a member of, and it was stating that James White was coming to Colorado on, I think it was July 27th, and he wanted to debate someone holding to an open view. And as I affirmed dynamic omniscience, I reached out to the one who posted that, and I said, I'm up for it. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think you'd want to debate me? And so my friends began working to set up this debate between James White and myself over the topic of dynamic omniscience. In fact, this was a topic that I had been trying to get James to debate me over for a couple years now, so I was really excited.
So what he wants to do is, but you need to debate me on total depravity. Never going to happen until you take a stand on the nature of God, because I will not start with the creature. The whole doctrine of total depravity is based upon God's accomplishing of his eternal purpose in the creature man, in and through the incarnation.
Now, originally James attacked my criticism of total depravity, so I challenged him to debate the matter. And as you just saw, he refused to debate it while still launching pot shots at me from his YouTube channel. He insisted before we debate total depravity that I needed to take a stand on my doctrine of God. So I offered to debate him on my doctrine of God, and he continued refusing to debate me while launching insults, slander, misrepresentation, all from his channel. But I thought all that was in the past, and that my friends were now actively working with James to set up this debate between us. I then made a tweet and I tagged James, letting him know that I was accepting the challenge and that whether we would debate or not was really in his court. Now, it was about this time that I was contacted by the church that's hosting the debate. However, I missed their call and they left me a voice message, which I didn't really notice until about a day or two after they had left it.
Hi, Warren. This is with Reformed Baptist Church. I just got off the phone with, and he said you would be willing to do an open theism debate with James White at our local congregation in Colorado. It's going to be July 27th. He told me to reach out to you, said you would be willing to, and so we're just trying to set this thing up and maybe put you two in contact, even though you probably already have talked a little bit, and just file out the details and make sure that this thing is doable. But it would be a blessing to us, and we would really appreciate it. So my number is 303. Again, that's 303. And I'll look out for your call and hope that we can make this thing work. So just give me a call back. Thanks, brother.
And during all this time, I mistakenly believed it was my friends and their church that was hosting this debate. So there's a little bit of confusion here, but I had tremendous respect for James for being so willing to go into, enemy territory and tell them to bring me whoever they wanted, send your mightiest debater to face me. I was like, that is the James White that I used to know. This is awesome. I had tremendous respect for James as a result of this. However, it turned out it wasn't my friends hosting the debate, but it was being held at a Reformed church there in Colorado, and they'd reached out to my friends to help them find someone to debate James. So again, there was a little bit of confusion there. My friends then reached out to me, and they told me that this Reformed church in Colorado was now withdrawing their invitation for me to debate. And I was shocked, still thinking this was my friend's church. I thought, why in the world are they uninviting me? I don't understand this. I was really perplexed. But around that same time, I missed another call from that Reformed church. This is the second call. And they again left me a voice message. And it was around this time that James responded to my tweet on Twitter saying that he wouldn't even shake my hand or speak with me.
Hey, Warren, this is, I reached out to you yesterday about a debate with James White. I just want to let you know that me and the elders at our church discussed it last night, and we don't feel it'd be responsible for us to give you a platform just with the rhetoric and kind of the hate for James White on your channel.
So, hearing all of this, I reached out to the representative from this Reformed church, and I spoke with him directly. He told me that the church did not approve of me producing clickbait videos calling James White a cult leader and a theological buffoon, challenging whether or not he was even saved, and consequently, they saw me as unnecessarily antagonistic and labeled my content as clickbait, so they were withdrawing the invitation for me to debate James. Well, hearing this, I knew they hadn't even watched the videos, as it was James who called me these things, and I was simply responding to the insults and asking James to focus instead on the points of disagreement. I noted that if that was the reason they didn't want me debating, then their issue was with James and not me, and I assured them that I could still keep it professional, and I was fine debating James despite the numerous insults and slander he had sent my way. Well, hearing this, the representative from that Reformed church informed me that he had spoken with James, or that the church leadership had spoken with James that morning, and there were concerns over me bringing up James' affirmation of the doctrine of infant damnation and his belief that God has decreed all child grape. Well, James was worried that I was going to bring this up in the debate. So I told them, I said, well, if that's James's concern, and he won't debate me unless I can make assurances that I won't raise those issues, well, then we could simply add that to the terms of the debate contract, and I would note that I would refrain from raising such objections. I mean, it is an entailment of James's belief in theistic determinism, and I would think it would be fair game, but if James is going to require me to debate him with one arm tied behind my back, I'd still be happy to do that, because I think the arguments, even without those, I still think the other arguments hold up. Well, the gentleman heard this and apologized for not watching my content and jumping the gun, and said that they would look into that. But he informed me that James had already made it absolutely clear that he would not debate me under any circumstances. And I told him, yeah, I'd seen the tweet that James put out saying that he wouldn't shake my hand or even talk to me. Now, as James's hatred of me has become evident to all the parties involved, I asked the church representative to request that their elders step in to see if they could mediate some sort of resolution and restoration between us, calling James to task over the things they wrongly accused me of, and that was the last time that I heard from the church.
Again, for those reasons, our church is not going to give you a platform.
Now, it does strike me as entirely hypocritical that when they thought I had said what James said, well, they were refusing to give me a platform. But once they learned that it was James who said and behaved like that, well, they kept the red carpet rolled out for him and are looking for a replacement in this debate. So if I said or did it, well, they're not going to platform me. But when James says or does this, well, we'll just ditch Warren. Whatever James says and does is golden. That's how it comes across, and I think that's entirely hypocritical. And so I'm calling the church and James both to task for that.
Please pray. We're trying to get some debates set up there, 2 of them, actually. It's really hard. It looks like we would like to address in a meaningful fashion, not in a spitball fashion, the subject of open theism. Unfortunately, there is a small vocal group of open theists who don't know how to behave. They don't know how to be adults. They don't know how to control themselves. I appreciated my debates with John Sanders. John Sanders is a scholar, and John Sanders behaved in that fashion in our debates. He was a little more aggressive the last time we were on Unbelievable together, but still, you can respect the man. But then there are other people, and I've commented on them, that There's no reason to respect them.
I still respect James, like for his debates against Muslims and his work on the King James only controversy and some of these things. His textual criticism, like there's things to respect about James. But back then I had more. And I was excited to hear his response to my argument. I remember running in telling my wife and kids, I was like, hey, James is responding to me. Like, I can't wait to see what he thinks of my argument and like how he's going to like blow it to pieces.
Like a kid on Christmas. Yeah.
And he didn't. And so he just, you know, and ever since then, it's been, you know, you're ugly and your mom dresses you funny kind of responses from James. And I'm like, okay, cool. But like, what about the arguments?
This one guy who's just, he's Joseph Smith, but smarter. I mean, this guy could start a cult on his own. You know, this is the same theological buffoon.
Like, I like James on some things. I have respect for James on some things. Like, I know some people find that shocking. The degree of respect that I had for James used to be way up here. Even when I was no longer a Calvinist and I was extremely Calvinism, I still had a lot of respect for James. His textual criticism, which I even noted in the opening of the debate he had on John 6 with Leighton. I was like, his work against like Muslim and debating that, his work on textual criticism. I had a high degree of respect for James, but James's refusal to engage with the actual points of contention and offer any sort of legitimate response, it's just name calling and mockery. He just keeps going down, 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 down. And of course, you know, hey, I'm a nobody. I'm a YouTuber, and he's got a PhD from who knows where, you know, and he's got easily well over a dozen times the subscribers that I do here on YouTube.
And so the very idea of debating it is just disgusting and vile. Anybody who comes up with that should just crawl under a rock and never come back out. You would actually want to use that as a debating subject? You're disgusting. You're shameful. You need to grow up or get born again or something, because you got a problem. You've got a problem.
I like James White as a human being. I disagree with him on a lot. And good news, it seems like Dr. White has recovered from his surgery, so that's good for everybody that's been out there praying for James White.
I've never heard anything more stupid in my life. I really haven't. Let's be honest. There is not a scintilla of honesty in what Warren McGrew said. He's not a stupid man, so he's just a massively dishonest man. That's just all there is. It's horrible. I cannot believe. There is no reason to, people say, well, we need to have niceness in our conversation. You can listen to that and then tell me I need to be that way? Okay, well, seems only goes one direction, doesn't it?
Originally, I wanted to debate James on total depravity because I respected him. But his responses to my arguments were less than stellar. I mean, at one point he quoted me criticizing an entailment of his position, and he claimed that I was personally affirming it, and then he refuted me as though I believed the very thing I was criticizing. It was not a very honest engagement. It was actually pretty wild stuff. But then he challenged me on my doctrine of God, and so I agreed to debate him on dynamic omniscience. And he just kept calling me a liar and making non-arguments. And then he launched into the whole Baalgate controversy, which then gave way to Grapegate, and he just clutched his pearls and called me disgusting and questioned my salvation when I challenged him to debate those topics. You see, James doesn't have arguments. He just calls people liars and insults them. So I think it's time for me to announce that I no longer see James as worth debating. I mean, I'll still continue to pray for him. I'll still produce videos calling him to task for his bad teaching, but he just isn't the man or debater that I thought he was. I mean, I actually am feeling pretty sad right now. To see James so full of bitterness and fear, that was never something that I expected or wanted. I had hoped that I might convince him of his errors, but this, for whatever reason, it's hitting hard. Maybe it's his recent health issues, but I really genuinely feel sorry for James on so many levels. To waste his life defending false doctrines and then end up like this, it's tragic. It's not the legacy that I would have hoped for him, but it is telling that he is one of the last popular level Calvinist apologists, and it's also revealing that Reformed churches are doing all they can to protect him, and their hypocrisy and double standards are becoming more and more evident by the day. As James fades into obscurity, it seems Calvinism is going with him. So while we mourn the man, we can celebrate the death of that anti-biblical, anti-gospel, and anti-Christ system that has ensnared so many, including faithful Christians, that has deceived them. And the death of that system is certainly something worth celebrating. But yeah, this is a sad day. I think I've finally come to see James in a way that I had been holding out hope that I would never arrive at.
Hi, Warren. This is Carter Manning with Breathe Reformed Baptist Church.